Hi, I'm John Fitzgerald and welcome to this week's edition of Team Wealth Builders. A lot going on. 2014 though, let me just recap the first quarter because from an economic perspective it's very interesting what's going on in real estate world. Probably the highlights for me, and the number one thing that went to my dashboard, is we've got continued growth in this quarter. Melbourne particularly with 5.4%, so that's tracking at well over 20%. Sydney just under, sitting at about 4.4%. Brisbane and Perth a little bit less, but interestingly Brisbane 2.9% in the month of March, so slowly picking up. I focus on the four main capitals because to me that's where the action is in property. 80% of the population growth over the next 20-30 years is going to be in those main four capitals. So I'm thinking that's where we need to be from the perspective of real estate, and that's why I focus on those four capitals. Perth has been the question mark, and in fact is really just treading water at the moment and is losing ground, lost ground for parts of this quarter. So there's a concern there. Vacancy rates are up. Now what's that got to do with? It's got to do with the fact that the mining sector is coming off and there's nearly a 10% unemployment rate in the mining sector. I'm hoping that the Roy Hill development, the Gina Reinhardt development, will add some flavour to that, but that's a very, very long-term wind up on construction, and they're bringing in a lot of 457 visas, so I'm not sure that's going to make a big dent in that Perth market. But having said that, Perth's done really well. Melbourne's been the surprise for this quarter, as I said, tracking at nearly 20%, but the real one out of the blocks is Brisbane with 2.9% for the month of March. Now that's tracking at over 30% per annum, and we've seen it on the ground. The other thing worth mentioning in that regard is the listings are down in all the capitals, which is positive. Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Perth, the number of listings are down significantly on this time last year. So we've got sales up, prices up and listings down. And I'm just seeing it, you'll see it in your own neighbourhood. Previously you would have seen for sale signs. We're seeing less and less, and that's positive because it means the market, what happens is it skips along, so it skips, and then we'll have products come onto the market which will dampen it, and then it will skip again, and that's how booms work. We're in the start of a boom, but don't expect it to take hold really till about 16, 17, where you'll see consecutive 5% quarter growth. That's the history. One thing though that I did want to point out, and that is fixed interest rates, because that's been the thing that surprised me in this quarter. All the banks now are offering sub 5% fixed interest rates, and there's even offers out there of sub 4.5%. What's that got to do with? Essentially, there's a lot of overseas money coming into the country now because our RMBS, our residential mortgage-backed security market, is back in swing, and people are buying money for 2, 3, 4, 5 years and then lending it out for that period of time. So now all the banks are a part of it. It's really worth knowing that that's a changing dynamic that's affecting real estate, makes it more affordable, so can drive prices. Really exciting. And from my perspective, when I talk about real estate, I talk about, the bigger picture of the economy, and we saw one other thing that jumped out in this quarter was the amount of jobs created in just the month of February, 47,000, and that's a record. We haven't seen that for 20, 30 years, and building approvals are at a 30-year high. So some really good things to think about, but most importantly, we have prices jumping. Sydney running 4.4% for the quarter. Melbourne winning the quarter, but look at Brisbane coming out of the blocks. Really, really amazing on the East Coast. Perth actually treading water. There's some real action going on in the East Coast. Thanks for listening to me.